average, but better than below average, which is where we were. That's according to a bunch of civil engineers who put together a report on Idaho's infrastructure. That's the physical world built around us, like roads, bridges, schools, plumbing, those kinds of things. And some of those things have stood around for a century. Some, they're a bit newer, but this report is put together every 6 years or so. And what we've learned, we haven't improved much over the last couple of decades. Joe Paris takes us through the key findings and the common thread facing Idaho's infrastructure.
The grade is in, a C for Idaho's overall infrastructure. The American Society of Civil Engineers published a comprehensive report on 9 different areas of infrastructure. A top grade of C+ in the energy sector, a low grade of D+ for school infrastructure. The overall takeaway, Idaho scored as mediocre across crucial systems. The Southern Idaho section of the American Society of Civil Engineers has a clear takeaway for state leaders and stakeholders. Key infrastructure systems are generally safe and functional today, but increasingly strained by age, growth, and funding gaps. Here's a look at the report card. It lobs the question about future sustainability and even possible dangers if changes aren't made. Idaho scored lowest in schools, aviation, bridges, and transit. Idaho's schools face challenges, overcrowding, outdated buildings, and inadequate maintenance, factors that can hinder student success. The report identifies, while some districts have used local levies to fund new construction, many schools remain outdated or in disrepair, especially in fast-growing areas. Since 2016, Idaho has lost 40 public schools, even as enrollment is projected to rise by 5% or more through 2028. Physical infrastructure is often left out of statewide education funding discussions. The consequences, overcrowding, deferred maintenance, and facilities that fall short of safety, technology, and accessibility standards. Again, Idaho scored a D+, but that actually is the overall national grade on the topic. Growth is a major factor in the overall Idaho discussion. Simply put, systems were not built with this type of population in mind. Idaho's population has grown nearly 25% since 2010, one of the fastest rates in our country, and the surge is straining legacy systems. More than 1,500 bridges still require repairs, half of school square footage is in fair or poor condition, and most small water and wastewater systems face significant renewal backlogs. Road fatalities surged to a 20-year high in 2023, while 65 wastewater plants reported Clean Water Act violations. Many smaller and rural communities with limited tax bases struggle to keep up with maintenance needed and, well, regulatory requirements. Funding is the root of the problem for many of these issues, according to the report. Recent federal programs like the Infrastructure Investment Jobs Act and the state effort like Leading Idaho and the Transportation Expansion and Congestion Mitigation TECM Fund, they have supported critical projects, but the report says these are often one-time boosts rather than sustained funding, something that needs to be addressed. Idaho's heavy reliance on local ratepayers, bonds, and competitive grants without broad, dedicated state support means that maintenance is deferred and progress is uneven across communities. Another factor, state law limits options for local tax increases, which makes it even more challenging to solve some of these funding questions. For example, Idaho airports face a $650 million capital shortfall projected over the next 6 years, and the backlog for bridges, it exceeds $2 billion in cost. School operation and maintenance spending sits at less than 60% of the national average per student. The seemingly positive, a C+ for energy, drinking water, and wastewater, thanks to recent investments and improvements in clean energy, water quality compliance, and system upgrades. Idaho's grade overall is slightly up from the previous report in 2018, from a C- to now a C.
And you will notice, though, on that report that a very crucial school infrastructure went from a C- to a D+. Another major question is, what will leaders do with this information, Brian? It's not like these concepts have never been talked about at places like the Idaho State House, but to reiterate, a common thread, according to the report, is that funding mechanisms have a lot of the times in the last decade, and really going further back, has been one-time cash infusions, one-time fix-it pays, where the local taxing districts really just don't have enough money to pay for this going forward. The recommendation from the civil engineers is create long-term funding solutions.
Did they say why we went down in energy? Because back in 2018, we had a B- for energy and wastewater. Now nothing on that report card is in the B range, nothing.
Yeah, there's actually a lot of metrics in it, and we will link to our website. It's a very in-depth report that it's not just a survey of it, and they cite all their sources.
Okay, thanks, Joe.